Alright, hello and welcome back to another Python programming tutorial. And today I am going to be creating what I'd like to call a question and answer game. You could also think of this as a trivia game, but essentially I am going to pose a question. The user is going to give an answer, and then based on that answer being correct or not, the user will get a point. Right, and then here's just the little parameters of the project that I went ahead and typed out just so I can keep track of stuff. Parameter here number 5, I just type this in just saying I'm using math questions. However, you can use whatever questions you want. So you can use whatever questions you want, but I'll be using math questions just because I just know some basic math facts off the top of my head, and I don't feel like looking up a whole bunch of trivia questions or pulling from an API. So what you'll need to know for this project is just the concept of what a variable is in the context of programming, how to receive input from the user, and how to use conditional statements. And I have full videos discussing all of that, so please just go ahead and check out the playlist that this video is linked to if you don't know what any of those are, but I'll also give a brief explanation of those as we go on here. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Here is the console window. This is where the user will play the game. And if you're unfamiliar with this software, this is REPL.IT. This is where you can essentially have your own collaborative IDE where you can create and store code and use it here in the console. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to print a message to the user when they join the app. So when they first run it, I'm going to say, hello, welcome to my game. And you can have this print whatever you want. You know, it doesn't have to be this. It can pretty much be whatever you'd like it to be. And I'll just have that be there. And then I'll go ahead and print another message here. It says, please tell me what your name is. Cool. So these will be the two things that will just automatically print when the game is started. And then I'll go ahead and create a variable here for a username. If you don't remember what a variable is a name or container given to data to store inside of your application. So here I'm going to take an input from the user, and this is how you do it. You use the input function in Python, and then this input, whatever they type in, will be stored as a variable. Now, just in case we don't remember, this is always, input is always registered as a string. So if you want to change it later, you have to use like typecasting to change it, which I covered briefly just in case you're unaware. I'll make a video on typecasting just in case you don't know how that works. But, you know, you'll have to typecast it because this always defaults as a string data type. Okay, so right here, what's going to happen, and I'll go ahead and just print the next line here, and let's go username, or I'll do this, I'll do welcome, and then I'll do a plus. A plus in Python allows you to do what's called concatenation, which means combine two strings together into one string. So I'll go welcome, and then put the username here, and then another plus, and then space here. Actually, I should have this here, space here. It's nice to see you here. Are you ready to play? Question mark. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just run this so you guys can kind of see what's going on. But it's going to go ahead and print these two things to the console window. It's then going to ask for input from the user, and then it's going to go welcome whatever I typed in. It's nice to see you here. Are you ready to play? So let's go ahead and run. And as you'll see over here, hello, welcome to my game. Please tell me what your name is. And here I'll put in my username. So I'll go A_Rice music, right? That you can put in whenever you want. I'll just put this in. This will then get registered as a string by Python, and then it will go ahead and go into here. Welcome, A_Rice music. It's nice to see you. Are you? And it just bridged this together because the screen's close. The farther this goes out, the less likely it will be to do that. But as you can see, it's changing that image. But as you can see, there we go. So then there's that, welcome A_Rice music. It's nice to see you. Are you ready to play the game? And then I'll go ahead and take another input here. And as you can see, it stopped running, so that means that this is all that I have, which corresponds great to this. All right, let's go ahead and now here, I'm going to go ahead and do a parentheses and say click any button to continue. That way the user knows they just have to click a button to continue. And I'll go ahead and just say button equals input here. And then right after that, I'm going to do what's called garbage collection. Now, Python normally garbage collects everything, but button's not going to be used anymore in this program, right? So it's good practice to now set this to none. None is the standard data type for non-existence in Python, and it's just good practice to do this here because when you type in inputs here, it's going to assign this to memory. I'm just now going to disconnect that because that's just supposed to be a placeholder waiting for input. So that's why I did that here. This is called garbage collection. If that's confusing to you, you don't have to worry about it, but I just put that there just to optimize my code a little bit. Okay. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and tell the user the instructions. All right, so the instructions for the game are I'll even do a username here. So we'll do username, which is again the name that they gave me. We'll do a plus here. I'll go it is good to see that you're ready to play. Exclamation point. The game is played by answering questions I give to you. If you get it right, you get a point. And then again, click any button to continue. Right? And actually, we don't necessarily need to do this. I changed my mind. We'll go ahead and just take this and we'll just do button as input. So something to keep in mind here is, let's say this wasn't button. Let's say this was something else. Keep in mind that whatever the user types in here will overwrite whatever the user typed in here because button is a variable. Okay? But since I'm just using it as like a placeholder to just receive input and then immediately discard it, it's not really important, and that's why I'm just overriding that. But as you'll see, it'll go ahead and print the username and it'll say it's good to see that you are ready to play. The game is played by, by answering questions I give to you. If you get it right, you get a point. Click any button to continue, and then I'll go ahead and print. And I'll go ahead and create a variable here for score. So I'll say the score is equal to 0, and then and I'll go ahead and print your current score is, and now super important here, I have to typecast score. Since score right now is an int value, I have to typecast that. So I'm going to go ahead and do str to typecast, which is going to make whatever I type in here string, and I'm going to type in score. Boom. Bring that there. And I'm getting an error. Should typecast str. There we go. Lowercase str. My mistake there. Okay, so this is going to go ahead and typecast here the int value score into a string, and then it's going to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and just make sure everything's looking good here. I'm going to clear my console window and run, and you'll see, hello, welcome to my game. Please tell me your name. Boom. Welcome _rice music. It's nice to see you here. Are you ready to play? Click any button to continue. _rice music, it's good to see that you are ready to play the game. The game is played by answering questions I give to you. If you get it right, you get a point. Click any button to continue. Your current score is 0. Okay? And I should probably say click any button to continue, or click enter. Click enter to continue. That way it's just a little bit clearer. Click enter to continue. just like that. Okay. So, and again, this is just some nice little, because I click enter to enter stuff into the console, so that's why I'm doing that instead. And yeah, so this is just a nice little setup here. I'll go ahead and save. Looks like it liked it. Everything looks good there. And I'm gonna go ahead, yep, all right, cool. So let's go ahead and do the first question. So I'll go ahead and print question 1. Oh, sorry. Colon, what is 2 plus 2? Okay, so again, like I said, pretty simplistic questions. I'm not going to go super crazy with the questions. The whole goal here is to just give some stuff here. Okay, all right, so go ahead. I'm actually going to stretch this out a little bit just so we can read this a little bit better, make the code a little bit more readable. All right, so we have this, 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 then this, then this. Then we take an input. We have the score at 0. And then I'm actually going to print a message here and say, are you ready to play? Okay, question mark. And then again, click enter to continue. Okay, all right, cool. And then it's going to go ahead and give question 1, what is 2 plus 2? Now I need to give the user some answer choices. So I'm going to say, and then I'm going to say the first answer, and I'll go ahead and do A here, is obviously 4, okay, and then I'll go ahead and just do B here, it's 6, and then C here is 8, and then D here is 10. Okay, so you have question number 1, what is 2 plus 2? And then at the very end of this, I'm going to go ahead and print input 1 for A, comma 2 for B, comma 3 for C, comma 4 for D, and there you go. That will give the ability, so I would click 1 on the keyboard for A, 2 on the keyboard for B, 3 on the keyboard for C, and then 4 on the keyboard for D. So here's my first question, and then here are the things, and then I tell the user how to put in stuff. Okay, and so far this is looking pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and take answer and set that equal to input, and that's going to be their first answer, right? So they're going to put in either 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? And I'm going to make this into an int. So this is how you typecast. Typecasting takes a specific data type. In this case, input is always inputted as a string and changes it into an integer or an int value, which are whole numbers and their opposites. Okay, so now I'm going to say, and this is where we're going to go ahead and start doing our conditional statements. If answer, right, and then I'm going to go is equal to 1, colon, right? And then we have our elif answer is equal to 2, colon, right? And then we have again our elif, right? And again, this is a great example of how to just take some input from the user and use it, and then also just looking at the idea of using some comparison operators as well. Okay, so we have elif here, answer is 2, and I'm going to go ahead and write pass here, which is just a keyword in Python to let me know that I'm just using this as a placeholder, just as you can see here. So I pass again, and then here elif answer is equal to 3. And again, I'm going to pass. Boom. Okay, and then elif answer is equal to 4 here, and then else pass. Okay, now something important to note about Python is Python deeply cares about the indentation, right? So everything is based around indentation in Python, meaning that code runs based on how it's indented. So whenever you have this indent here, whatever the first if is, whatever is indented here is what's going to run. Then whatever is indented here is going to run, indented here is going to run, indented here is going to run. As you see, I'm getting thrown an error because I need to indent that over, right? If it's not indented correctly, like this, and then this is over here, you'll see it starts throwing me errors because I didn't indent my code correctly. Python does care about indentation, where certain other programming languages don't. But I think this is a great thing because this is just how you should standard format your code anyways, regardless of the programming language. So I think it's great that Python makes you do this. All right, so let's go ahead, and this is just a good example. Okay, so essentially I have if the answer is 1, I'm going to go ahead and do print you are right. Okay. And then if that is the case, I'm going to go ahead and set score equal to score plus 1 because they got it correct. And then if it's not the case, I'm going to go ahead and print you are wrong for all the other cases. And then here, you can actually ask and tell them print that wasn't a valid response. Now, we haven't covered the idea of functions yet, so I would use a recursion here and recursively call the function. I'm not going to get into that right now because this is more programming based on the fact that we only know variables, input from the user, and conditional statements. But if you made this into a function, then you could call this recursively to say, would you like to try again? And then it would rerun this. But I'm not going to do that in this case. Okay. What you could do to do that instead is you could do this. Here is the question again. And you can get the question again, and then of course I do have to indent all of this over because this is again an elif inside an if. Okay, and then here you can even create another else here as well, and then you can print here. I'm sorry, that wasn't valid either. Let's move on. Okay, so again, this is called exceptions handling. So if they don't input a number like 1, 2, 3, or 4, then it's gonna do the question again, and then if that fails, it's just gonna move them on to the next thing. Now, as you can see, this isn't the most optimal way to write this code. There's much better ways to do this, but again, I'm writing this code only based on the idea that we know variables, how to receive input from the user, and conditionals. We don't know what functions are yet, but if you are watching this and you are more advanced, know that you could totally do recursion here and that would be way better. But that's okay. As you can see here, I get an answer, and then based on the user input, I'd give them a message, right? If they give me an incorrect answer here, I have what's called exceptions handling here, where I handle an exception, right? And then give them a question again, and then just simply move on if they get everything wrong. And I can go ahead and close up all my ifs here because I have everything pretty well organized, as you can see. And then right after they're done, I'm going to go ahead and print. Oops, I want to end this else statement. go into the next line. Boom, and go print I'm going to do username here, and I'm just going to do a plus sign, and I'm going to say great job, your score is, and then here I can do plus and then go score, right? And there you go. And then you can say right after that, even if you want, click enter for next question, right? And this will allow the user to, again, and I'll create that button variable here and take in the input from the user, which is just storage for that. And there you go. There is a nice, good example of how you can just go ahead and create a trivia game. Obviously, or a question and answer game. Obviously, this is just one question, but this is essentially the entire layout of the application. Again, if you're more advanced, I would wrap all of this into a function, right? But I digress. Let's go ahead and just make sure our code is running correctly here. So I'm going to go ahead and run, and it's going to ask me for my name. As you can see, I type in this right here. Boom, boom. And it says, welcome, it's nice to see you. Are you ready to play? Click enter to continue. I click enter. Anthony A_writes music. It's good to see you're ready to play. The game is played by answering questions I give to you. If you get it right, you get a point. Click enter to continue. Okay, your current score is 0. Click enter to continue. Up, I missed one small thing there. As you can see, I needed to click enter to continue one more time right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create that button variable again. I'm going to set that to input. Boom. Okay. All right. There we go. Run it one more time. Boom. All right. Question 1. What is 2 plus 2? Input 1 for A, 2 for B, 3 for C, 4 for D. If I put in 1 and click enter, it says you are right, and I didn't do anything yet. So that's why we're getting the next thing here. Oh, I forgot to typecast the score. That's what. Score here should be typecast as str. Boom. That's why it's complaining. But yeah, as you can see, it would say you are right, and then it would go ahead and give me my score. So let's go ahead and just run it one more time so you can see. So again, I'm going to run here. A_writes music. Boom. Enter, enter, enter. It's going to ask me for that. If I give it 1, it says you are right. Your score is 1. Click enter to continue for the next question. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run this again. Okay, enter, 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 enter. If I put in, for example, 3 for C, it says you are wrong. Your score is 0. And as you see, the last time it was 1, right? So this is clearly tracking the information correctly, just like we wanted it to, and that's really, really awesome. I'm glad to see it's doing this correctly. So cool, 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 cool. I'll go ahead and Control C, run this again. Okay, so it's gonna ask me for my name. I'll just put in A this time. And as you can see, my name even changes because, again, that's a variable, right? So I click enter continue. Your score is 0, ready to play. If I put in a wrong input, let's say I put in a whole bunch of letters here, and I click enter. Oh, let's see, input int. It's expecting an integer. Good point. So if A equals 1, if answer equals 4. Gotcha. So we'll assume that they put in a number because the way I would have to do this is I would have to do some try except stuff. I don't want to cover that today. But let's say they put in a number that's not, let's say they put in a number that's not 1, right? Let's say they put in a 9, for example. That wasn't a valid response. Here's the question again. I'm sorry. Oh, I gotta do the question again. Let's see. What was underneath that else? We're going to take answer again. I got to give them this again, and this else statement here. And as you can see, this is why there are better ways to do all of this. Boom, and I got to tab this stuff over. Cool. So now that should all be contained. There we go. So as you can see, if I go ahead and give it the wrong input, it's going to ask me for the answer again. And then this time, if I click it correctly, it says you are correct. And this is the whole idea behind exceptions handling. I'm going to go ahead and drag this out so y'all can see it. But as you can see, you are right. Great job. I didn't misspell it. Oh, great job. Your username is right here. Right. But as you can see, this is the idea of exceptions handling. So I spent quite a bit of time just showing you guys how that works. Because this is essentially just a template for every question, and then from here you can go ahead and just grab this template right here and just take this and just paste it down, and you'll have essentially everything again. Now, I'm not a huge fan of copying and pasting code because of the dry principle, but again, this is just for a beginner who doesn't know anything about like functions, right? Which would be how you would avoid something like this. So we're just assuming that for the parameters of this. But you know, this might not be the most optimal way to write this, obviously. Okay, so we have this, we have all our else. It's going to say great job. Okay, then it's going to say next question. Ready for the next question. It's going to ask question mark here, and it's going to say click enter to continue, click enter, and then here you can give your next question. Let's do 2 plus 4 this time. Okay, and then in this time the answer is going to be 6. So I'm going to have 2 be the correct answer. So here I'm going to have this code run here for 2, and then this code run here for the other one. Boom. And then again, you need to go ahead and do that in the else statement down here as well. So again, I'm going to have 2 run here. Boom. And I'm going to have you are wrong here. Oops, sorry, no mistake. Score needs to be tabbed over. There we go. Score equals score plus 1 up 1. This needs to be back. Boom. Perfect. Cool, cool. And then I just need to give question number 2 here. Make sure it's question number 2 now. Boom. Boom. We don't need this. But as you can see, it does the exact same thing all over again, assuming I did all that programming right. And again, this is just how you would do this. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 2 questions just because I'm not going to go ahead and do all 5 because I think you get the points. But something that I do want to note here, since you guys are probably newer to programming watching this, you saw that I did a lot of copying and pasting, and I had to like redo questions and then like change numbers and do a whole bunch of stuff there. This is why later we're going to learn about functions and why functions are so important, because eventually what happens, let's say that I was working for a company and they wanted me to make this game, and they said, oh wow, this is really well developed, but we actually need this all to be in Spanish. Well, if I program this all in English, it's going to be very hard to change all of this code up. However, if I use functions, which we'll learn later on, to reuse code like a question or create a question class, then this code will be so much more optimal. and it will be so much easier to maintain over time. Because right now, as great as a good learning example this is, this would be extremely hard to maintain because you have so many moving parts and so much duplicated stuff. So I just wanted to go ahead and just make sure that we are aware of that. That obviously this is how you would normally code this kind of game if you were more advanced. But I think this is a great learning activity. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just run this one more time, and I think we should all be all set. Okay. If you are doing this assignment from Game Plan, I do expect at least 5 questions. Don't just do 2. I'm just doing 2 because I don't want this video to take any longer. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this, and as you'll see, it's going to ask me for my name. I'm going to type in A_Rice Music. Boom. It's going to say, it's nice to see you, ready to play. Click enter to continue. The game is played by answering questions I give you. If you get it right, you get a point. Click enter to continue. Your current score is 0. Are you ready to play? Alright, so question number 1, what is 2 plus 2? You give it a response. I'm going to put in 1 for A. And you can see it says, great job, you are right. Click enter for the next question. I put in the next question. It says, your current score is 1, ready for the next question. You could change the wording there if you wanted. I'll just leave it for what it is. Okay, now here's question number 4. It says, what is 2 plus 4? I'm going to put in 2 for B. And it's going to say, you are right, your score is 2. And there it ends the game for right now. As you can see, this pretty much runs exactly how I thought it would, and we'll go ahead and just do some trying of some exceptions here, just so you all can see. So I click enter. Gonna put this in now, and I'm gonna get some wrong this time. So it's gonna say ready to play. This time I'm gonna put in the wrong number. It's gonna say that wasn't a valid response. Please try again. So now I'm gonna put in 4 for D, and it's gonna, you are wrong, as you can see. And then it's going to say click enter for the next question. It's going to tell me my score because I'm tracking my score. And I'm going to click enter again. It's going to ask me the next question here. This time I'm going to get this one wrong too. So let me go ahead and put in another invalid response. And it's going to say that wasn't a right response. Here's the question again. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and get it wrong again because why not? And you say you are wrong. Your current score is 0. And then obviously there isn't a next question, but you can continue this on. And that is it. So there you guys go. I know I didn't do 5 questions because I just didn't want to be here copying and pasting code. But this is a great example of how you can create your very first game using REPL in Python. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to take a class with us, please visit our website, www.esportsplayersclub.com, and I will see you all in the next one.